Start with the feature that everyone loves drawing most, the eye. And we can all, for the most part, sort of draw an eye in our head, but it's a little different when we're actually looking at an eye and really analyzing all the parts that maybe we forgot are there. So I've grabbed the sample eye, and let's identify some of the major areas first. We have the upper eyelid, right? So this area where the lash line is, and then the part of the upper eyelid that creates the crease. Now this might look different for everyone. Some people will have a very large eyelid, some people will have no eyelid showing, and in this case we have a small eyelid showing. Then we have the lower eyelid. The lower eyelid is from here, and something that we often overlook is this inner edge here that is usually white or some sort of lighter value. Okay. Then we have the actual iris, which is the part of the eye that is showing us what color your eye is. So this could be green, blue, whatever. Then we have the pupil, which is in the center, which is very dark here, so you can't really see. And then we have the highlight. There will always be some sort of highlight in your eye. That is what gives you life. The only time you will not have an eyelid is if you are completely in the dark, and at that point you probably wouldn't be drawing a portrait because you wouldn't even see the person. Then we have this inner corner of the eye here where we have the tear duct. This is where when you cry, all your tears come out, and this is an area that's often overlooked. Last, we have the lash line, right? And then up here, we have the eyebrows, which vary greatly from person to person. So let's go about how to draw the eye. I like to draw the eyelid in 3 different parts. 1, 2, 3. You're more likely to get an accurate eyelid shape than if you just go bink, or bink, or bink, and everyone has a very different shape. So by breaking it down into 3 parts, what's happening at that first corner, what's happening in the center, and what's happening at the end, you're more likely to get an accurate eye shape. So I'm going to go bink, bink, and bink. Another measurement you can take, or another comparison you can make to see if you're doing the right eyelid shape, is to use your pencil and hold it at a horizontal angle where the inner corner of the eye is, and see where the outer corner lines up. So I can see here that the outer corner is higher. So I'll do the same to my drawing, take a measurement, and I can see that I have it lower on the inner eye and a little higher on the outer edge of the eye, so I know I'm good. Then I want to go ahead and do the lower eyelid, which I'm going to follow the same process, breaking it down into 1, 2, and at the end 3. So I'll go 1, 2, and 3. Again, checking myself, putting this here at the corner, putting this here at the corner, and seeing that those match pretty well. Then I want to go directly into drawing the corner of the eye, the tear duct. And that's just because we tend to miss it. Without the tear duct, you just look like the beginning of a goldfish, and we don't want to look like that. Then I'm going to go back in and put in that inner edge of the lower eyelid. Very important. Sometimes you'll see a lot of it, sometimes you won't see very much of it, depending on the way that the face or the eye is oriented. Put in that lower lid. Then I want to mark in the iris. It's very easy to just say, well, I know that the iris goes in here, so I'm going to mark it. But depending on every eye, it's going to look a little bit different. What's going to be different is the amount that the eyelid is cut off. So if the eyelid is cut off very low, someone could look very sleepy. And if we see the entire iris, then the person looks very awake, very alert, almost stunned. So looking at how much exactly of this circle is cut off, and also looking at the negative shapes on either side of the iris. So looking at this white of the eye as a shape, and this white of the eye as a shape, will give you the right shape of the iris every time. So instead of thinking about drawing the iris, I'm thinking about drawing the negative shape. So that's one side, and then I'm going to draw the other side here. Okay. And that just gives me a starting point. Now I'll go ahead and indicate the pupil. Again, really checking to see what size is the pupil actually. If it's too small, that looks odd. And if it's too big, that also looks odd unless you just got your eyes dilated. So I'll mark in the pupil. I also want to mark in the highlight shapes that I see. So for this particular eye, there are two different, almost triangular highlight shapes. So I'm going to draw those in now before I shade in the iris so that I don't accidentally cover them and then have to go back in with an eraser. Then at this point, I'm going to shade in the iris. I like to shade the iris in sort of a radiating pattern coming out from a center point. Zoom in a bit. So I'll start at the center, minding the highlights, not covering those, going out, 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 just making lines. Because her eyes are pretty dark, this means that I can press harder. If I were doing blue eyes or really light eyes, I will still do this texture, but I won't press down as hard. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the pupil, just solid dark here. And at this point, I want to go ahead and add in the upper eyelid. So I'm really going to look at what is the distance between her lash line and the crease. Starting down here from the bottom, I see that it kind of comes out from the corner and up and up and up and up. Notice again that I'm not doing it all in one motion. I'm breaking it down into different parts to make it easier for myself. Now, before I even put in the eyelashes, I like to do any shading that I might need. You can start by shading usually the inner corner of where the eye is. That is usually in shadow, so just really lightly, I'm going to mark in a value for that. Dun, 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 dun. And I'll also mark the shadow that I see on the bottom as well. Okay. Then I'm going to make the lash line a bit darker. And then I'm also going to shade this little bit of value that I see around the corner edge of her eye.
And I'm also going to shade the sides of her eye because the eyeball is round, and on a sphere there's going to be light in the center and shadow on the sides. So we want to shade the whites of the eyes just a little bit. And really at this point, look at your photo, look at your drawing, and add value, shade wherever you see gray or wherever you see some darkness.
Now I'm going to go ahead and add in the eyelashes. I like to think of the eyelashes as little Nike signs. So just going up and up and up and up. You can do it. Everyone's eyelashes are going to look a little different. So this is one way to do eyelashes. In her case, her eyelashes are not curled up. They're going straight down. So I can use my pencil to check what the angle of that line is. What's the angle of that line that I'm going to be drawing? And it looks like it's something like this. So I'm going to start at my lash line and start making marks lightly. that follow that lash pattern. Okay, so I'm just going like this along the lash line. Okay. For the bottom lashes, it's very easy to make someone look like a tarantula. So I would hold off, and if you do want to add some bottom lashes, press really, really lightly with your pencil, and perhaps don't do as many as you would have done for the upper lashes. I'm going to keep it simple.